Ladies and gentlemen, we have more evidence proving that civilians in Gaza are in fact being oppressed and their lives are being put at risk and they are getting killed. By whom? Oh yes, the leadership of Gaza. The nutters, the Islamists and the Hamxs are going around forcing civilians to stay at home instead of evacuating because they want to use them as human shield. And this is another phone conversation between a Gazan civilian and we can actually show you guys. Obviously it's got English subtitle. Let's watch this, listen to it and come back.
اللي هم في ناس طلعوا لنا وصاروا يضربوا فينا في الحصه قالوا ارجعوا ايش نعمل؟ كنا احنا اصلا بدنا نطلع اخذنا حالنا بدنا نطلع الحين صاروا يضربوا فينا ارجعوا على طول ايش نعمل؟ مين اللي ضرب فيكم بالعصايه؟ هذول الشباب بالجيش ولا شباب حماس؟ شباب حماس هذول بضلوا يضربوا فينا ويرجعونا.
It's not a surprise, it's not the first time. The international media don't want you to know this. The United Nations don't want you to know this. The globalist elites don't want you to know this because it's not in their interest to tell the truth. This is the reality. We've seen videos, we've heard so many of the audio conversations, and all the evidence shows that people in Gaza, those who are against Hamas and those who simply want to save their own lives and their families, are not allowed to because they get into trouble. If the United Nations really cared about empowering random innocent civilians in Gaza or anywhere really in the world, then they would empower them to fight against these nutters who are forcing them to stay at home so they could become human shield, so that when the IDF attacks, they become collateral damage and they could go around the world saying, wow, look at the genocide. Why is it that we don't get the same problem in Lebanon? When the IDF are telling the Lebanese to leave an area, they all do. And that's the reality because they are sensible and they say, okay, we're going to get out of here. And Hezbollah's infrastructure is completely being brought down. So Hezbollah are not allowed to do what Hamas are doing in Gaza. I mean, they try their best. There are still some Hezbollah members who are forcing some of the residents to stay in the surrounding areas of Beirut, but the majority have already escaped and they say, well, no, we're going to listen to the IDF. It's the only armed forces that is telling us in advance to leave the residential areas because the terrorists are using that area for their own bases. In Gaza, it becomes complicated. And it's not really that the whole of Gaza is surrounded by Israel. There is another border, and that is with Egypt. Egypt are also completely blocking civilians in Gaza to be rescued, even temporarily. Egypt don't even want the Palestinians, even for half an hour, to cross the border to give them a tent, for example. That is the problem. Nobody criticizes Egypt.